Hi everyone, this is Charlotte from the Bursary Foundation. I hope you're having a good week. Weather seems a bit gloomier today, but never mind, at least we got sunshine over half term. So Jenny can't be with us today, so it will just be me talking you through the lessons this week. So we're going to start off with a verbal reasoning lesson, and we're thinking about the topic, moving a letter to make a word. So what we mean by this is that you've got a letter in the first word that needs to be moved into the second word. Both of the new words that are created after you've moved that letter must create a real English word. So what a lot of people end up doing is they'll test out all the letters and move them around and see if they make words in both instances. You don't actually always need to do that, and the key thing with this question and questions that are similar to it is actually knowing how to do it quickly. So what I'd always do is look at the first word, don't worry about the second word to begin with. So in this instance, I've got the word string and the word camp. So I can see that if I move the letter R, I would get ST, get rid of the R, ING. Sting is a real word, so that is a possibility. If I move the I, that doesn't actually make any sense because then I'd have absolutely no vowels in this one at all. So I know that I can't be a possibility. Now in this one, these next two are actually tricks because I've got to move a letter from word number 1. Well, there's not actually a C or an M in the first word, so the correct answer in this case has to be the R. Okay, so this one is actually super quick and easy because I know that all of these options are invalid, and the question itself doesn't actually ask me to write out the two new words, it just says which letter gets moved. So I can do that super quickly. So on to the next one. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. So I'm looking for letters in the word movies, VIS and M are all in movies, so that's fine. So let's test all of this out. So if I take away the V, I get MOIES, that's not a word. If I take away the I get the word moves. Okay, that's a real one, so that's a possibility. If I take away the S, I get movie. Yep, we know that's a word. And if I take away the M, I get ovies. That's not a word. So process of elimination, I can get rid of the V and I can get rid of the M. This is the point as I have two possible options where I want to now test out putting the I and the S into my second word here. So if I wasn't completely sure, what I'd do is start writing out or typing out places where the I could go. I know that I'm not allowed to move any of the other letters, so I'm just inserting the I into new positions. So I'd have I hosts, that's not a word. Hiosts, still not a word. Hoists, okay, that does make a word, so that's a pretty good shout for us. So I know that that's all correct because I found a possible option here. If I double check with the S, well, I'd have something that looks like shosts, that's not a word. HS, we don't get that spelling at the start of a word in English, so that's not good. Hosts, also not a word. And I know that having a double S after the T isn't going to work either. As a result, I'm able to work out that the correct letter would be the I. Okay, so it's really simple. It's just a case of being very logical with the way you do these workings out and laying everything out in a way that makes it easy for you to see. If you're just trying to sound out a word in your head, because there's so many different possible vowel pronunciations and, for that matter, consonant pronunciations in English, you could end up missing something and not getting the correct answer. So write things out would be my top tip for this one if you can't see the answer straight away. So you may also find some options where it asks you to write in the correct letter or it asks you to write in the words. For this, you're still going to use exactly the same method. You're just going to test out all the letters individually for number 3 and then work out what both the words are for number 4 here. So if I look at this one, if I got rid of the F, I'd get ild. That's not a word. FL without a vowel here, that's definitely not going to be right. FI with one L, ED. No, that doesn't look right for either of the L's actually. So I could have filed here, depending on how I pronounce it. But let's come back and see if there's any other possibilities. If I have FILLD, we don't get an ending like that in English, and FILLE, feel. Well, that is actually a French word, but it's no good for us in English. So I was thinking, ooh, I don't like the look of any of these. So let's get rid of the ones that definitely cannot be right. So I know it's not ild. I know it's not fooled, either of those, or feel. So it has to be this one. And actually, if I think about it, if I cover up the D there, I get the word file. So we're actually looking at filed in this case. Because there's only one possible option here, that's the only answer that can be. And because this question is only asking me for the letter, I don't need to worry about working out the second word. I'm just going to quickly write down an L here, and my answer is sorted. For number 4, I do actually have to work out what both possible words are. So we'll go through exactly the same topic, but we're going to have to apply it to the second one. So possibly, you looking at this, you could pause the screen now if you want and have a go at working it out, and then I'll show you what I've done. So if you've paused, we're now coming back to work this out. Let's have a look. So aras, I know that's not right. Crurs, no, definitely not. So I know I've got to have the car. So CAERS, again, not quite right. So I've got to have CARRS, that's no good. CARES, I've got the word cares there, so that potentially works. Or I could have carer without the S at the end. So again, getting rid of all of the possible options that we can't get rid of, I'm left with either getting rid of the R or getting rid of the S. So looking at this one then, I might say to myself, well, if I put an R or an S into this word at the end here, what are my possibilities? So I could have RB, that's not going to work, BRAKE, that would actually work because I'd get break. I might also have BARKE, no, I know that's not going to work because that would be bark, that's not how I spell the word bark, and so on and so on. Once you've found a word that is definitely correct, at this point I'd be tempted to write it in. This option does actually have a number of possible answers which you wouldn't ordinarily find within a test, but it works in this instance. For instance, I could have baker or I could have bakes would be some of the others. So if you wrote down any of those when you were having a go yourself, then those would be correct answers. You've just got to make sure that you pair them up correctly. So for instance, if I write down cares, I know that I've got to write down break or baker as an example. Okay, so now we've had a go at that, let's have a look at some of the typical multiple choice questions that you might get. So what I'd suggest you do here is pause the video, put 3 minutes on a timer and see if you can work out the answer to each of these in the time. Once we've done that, I'll go through the answers with you. So pause the video now and we'll be back in a moment. All right, so hopefully you've had a go and got your answers. 3 questions in 3 minutes is about the kind of speed we want to be moving for these. So let's have a quick look. So I'm going to go through typing out the 4 possible options here. So if I got rid of the C, I'd get hinks. That's not right. If I got rid of the K, I'd get chins. Yep, that's a real word. Actually, I don't think I can get rid of the I at all anyway, because I know that I'd then have no vowel in my word. That's not going to work. And then if I press the wrong button, if I type in without the K, C-H-I-K-S, chicks, that's not how I spell the word chick. As a result, the correct option has to be B, K, because the only possible option here is chins. Still don't care about that second word because we've already got the answer. For B, well, I could have arged. That's not a word. I could have B-A-G-E-D. Bagged. That's not how I'd spell that. If I got rid of the G, I'd have B-A-R-E-D. That would get me the word So you could either have it as bad, but that would have 2 R's. So if I think about taking away the D at the end, I get the word bear. So bared, like he bared his teeth, would be a real word. And I know I can't end with GD at the end of the word, so that can't be correct. Once again, I've not actually had to go through any of the rest of the second word because I've got the correct answer. I can get rid of the G and get the word bared because none of the others are real words or real words that are spelled correctly. For number 3 then, we've got cloud and font. So if I get rid of the word the letter C, I get the word loud. Okay, that's a good possibility. If I get rid of the letter L, I get cowed. That wouldn't be a word. Getting rid of the O, I'd get clud. Clud isn't a word. And if I got rid of the U, I'd get clod. Clod is actually a real word. It means like a clod of earth, for instance. So I know that L and O aren't any good to me here. So I'm going to test to see whether I can use a C or a U in the word font. So there are a few ways that you could work this out. You could look at a C, for instance, and say, well, C doesn't really combine with any of these letters in order to get a sound that's common in English. For instance, we don't really get FC or a C in front of an N or a T as an example very commonly. So it's probably going to be U. If you're not sure with things like that, you could just write it all out. So I'm going to do that with the U just to double check whether my suspicion is right and it can't possibly be the C. So if I have U-O-N-T, U-font, that's not a word. F-U-O-N-T, fount, not a word. F-O-U-N-T, however, fount, that is a word. It's the root for words like fountain, like a water fountain or a fountain pen, for instance. It means an amount of something that is appearing usually from the ground as an example. So D has to be the correct answer here. Hopefully you also got all of those answers. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and tell us if there's anything else that you'd like to see which is similar to this. However, for now, that's us done for this one, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!